Hello guys, my name is Bilal and welcome to the A tutorial of Laravel 5. In this tutorial, we will be covering something called controllers. One point of MVC is keeping logic out in certain files. Most of the logic should be the controller. So as soon as it comes to know the route or address that you want to go to, it should go to the controller first. The controller will then process all the logic and the controller need to determine what need to do to accomplish a particular task. For example, if we want to get some information from the database, then from the route, it should go to the controller first. The controller then need to call up the model. The model will then talk to the database, get the required result, and transfer it back to the controller. And then the controller will process all the data, so all the processing and logic of data should be done in the controller. So let's create a new controller, and our controller are inside this app directory and then this controller folder. So if you can see there is already a built-in controller which is called controller.php. So we want to make a new controller. So to make a new controller, right click on this controller and select new file. And now just save it and named it as pages controller. And the reason I'm calling it as pages controller because this controller will control all of our static web pages. Well, it is not important to call it as pages controller. You may call it anything you want. There may be another controller called update controller which will control all of our updates on a web page, and another controller called post controller which will handle all of our posts. So just name it anything you want and put an extension of .php and then save it. And now we need to open this controller with this PHP, which means that start accepting PHP instruction right after this. Now you need to namespace all of your controllers. And they have to be namespaced in this folder called app http controllers. And I think most of you know what namespaces are if you know C++, but for those who don't know what they are, well, namespaces are like small boxes and containers, and what they do is that you are saying that you are the part of this folder or container. You can move inside this container or folder but not outside this, unless and until you get explicit permission, and the place they belong to is this app http and then controller. So we will type here app backslash http backslash controllers. Put a semicolon at the end. Now remember that this app A is small here, but here we need to capitalize it. And this slash is the slash which is above your enter key and below your backspace key. So let's start our controller and know that controller is a simple PHP class. Therefore class and then the name of the controller, which is pages controller. Now we need to extend this built-in controller which is here called controller.php. It contains everything, we just need to extend it in our controller. So just extend it by tapping extends. Controller. And then make a body. Now we will make a public function here and named it as, now just name this function. I will name my function as my function. Make a body, and this function will return a string called hello world. So now this whole is our controller, and this function is the part of our controller. So now instead of returning a view, I am returning here a string called hello world. Now the route will call this controller name pages controller. So just go to your route folder and inside our route folder, go to this web.php. So now instead of returning a view, we want to return a controller. So just get rid of everything here. And now type the name of the controller you want to call. So in this case, I want to call a controller called pages controller. So just type here pages controller. Now this @ symbol means which part of the controller you want to call. So in this case, I want to call a function called my function. So just type the name of the function here, or just type that part of the function, just type the part of the controller you want to call here. So in this case, I want to call here a function called my function. Just type here my function. Now here I am stating that when I have this thing in the URL, which is this \page, call this controller called pages controller. So it will first check, okay, I need to go to this pages controller, and from pages controller I need to access this part, which is a function called my function. So it will go to the pages controller and will access this function and will return a string called hello world. So just save it. And before you run it, make sure that your server is running. And when your server is running, open your internet browser and just type this thing and then the URL we have specified in the route directory, which is this \page. So just type \page and press enter. And now here, instead of returning a view, it is returning a string called hello world. I believe it is clear to you. If not, then you will have a better idea when we will be going in depth of controllers. So at the end, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.